All right, so I'm going to just jump into Deduce here, shoot right over to the training center. And remembering that the training center is for testing and documenting your team's coding and code weight behavior using Cohen's Kappa and Pearson's correlation coefficient as metrics to help communicate that to others. So we're going to just take a quick look today at creating, taking, and then exploring the results of a test. I'm going to click on Create a New Test and just walk you through the basic steps. We're not going to go all the way of creating tests and discuss why we might create them. We're going to create a code application test today, which is very commonly what you're probably thinking about with qualitative coding, right? How well do people use codes across different members of the team, across different data, across time? We also have a code weight test in Deduce, which is the use of overlaying numerical ratings onto coding. You can read about that elsewhere. The tests for this are very similar. So we're not going to look at that today. So let's go ahead. Next. Here we're prompted now to select those codes that we want to focus on for the test. So here we really want to think about, what do we expect from our coders? What are we hoping to accomplish and document with these tests? And we may not want to focus too narrowly. We can pull the lens back and look at broader codes. We're going to talk about reading by mom here, fidelity of implementation since this was an experiment, and reading by others. All right, so we'll look at those codes. We'll click next. And here we're prompted then to select the excerpts that we want to include. So remember, the excerpts that we're going to include in a test are coming from the master project itself. So these are excerpts that have been created in context, and here we're prompted to select those we want included in the test. So again, we want to think about, what's the purpose of the test? Is it early to just kind of see how people are working across different documents? Or are we really trying to pin down some later stage testing and documentation? So the excerpts that we're going to select are going to reflect that purpose. One example of things that we've done is have a project director, a master coder in our project, create a bunch of tests where people use them to then train up to meet that standard, where we could then trust them on the project. That was the Jenny standard. And so if you were on our project at any point after the first year, you knew about the Jenny standard. So I'm going to just back out of here and go ahead and show you what it looks like to take a test. All right, so we're going to go ahead and select our code application test, take it, and here's what you're going to experience as a test taker. You're going to be presented with the actual excerpt content that was defined in the excerpt creation, and you're presented with those codes that were included in this particular test. So I can double click or drag and drop codes to apply them, and then I'm going to go ahead and scroll through the excerpts in this test doing the same thing. I'm going to just quit this test, and I don't want to save it, which I can return later if I'd like to. More importantly, I think that's pretty straightforward. Let's take a look at the results. All right. So let's take a look at the results here for this code application test. And here's what we first see. Number one, we can export everything here. But up at the top, we'll see a pooled Kappa. This is calculated based on the coding behavior for the two coders that were relevant to a particular test. The person whose excerpts were used to create the test, we define that person somewhat arbitrarily as an expert, and then the test taker. And so Cohen's Kappa is a nonparametric statistic that's used often to document or evaluate inter-rater reliability. We've provided some documentation here about Kappa, rules of thumb for evaluating it as a nonparametric statistic. And we hope that gives you all the information you need to really kind of use this in a wise way. Down below, we can see Cohen's Kappa for the specific codes in the test itself. And so there's a lot we can learn from this information, and more so in Deduce, we may want to go back and look at what was the actual behavior itself. So we're going to go here and click View Code Applications. And here now we actually see the content again, but with the code that was originally applied, the trainer here, or the expert, and then what I just applied as a test taker. So I can just shoot through the excerpts in the test and take a look at how the coders did their work start talking about what they may have been seeing, where they were missing each other. This is the stuff that we used to just do in an analog way, sitting around the table with our colleagues. Read paragraph 7, what do you see there? And we would talk about what we would see and agree or not, and then start to evaluate that. So we've got all that digitized for you here. And then, of course, hopefully we learn something and then improve either our code system, we adapt it, or train up those trainers to the Jenny standard. So that's pretty much it for today, and I hope you walk away with something valuable today, and please check out our videos for a lot more information on different aspects of deduce and quality research.